So today, as you might have guessed, dear listeners, on the Mud Peddlers, we're going to be discussing SacAnime, and my phone just went off.
Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
How do I always forget to This is The Mud Peddlers, a podcast where two nerdy ceramic artists share the behind the scenes of their worlds of clay. We are your hosts, Lindsey M Dillon.
And I am Donte of Earth Nation. Lindsey ain't got hoes like I do. She don't put hers on silent.
I just need to get
I don't have any hoes.
more of the hose.
I guess I do, but like I don't really want them.
The only hose you have is to water your garden, because you're a family man.
That is true.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Anyway, so what we are actually talking about today is SacAnime, because that's, well, frankly, why this episode's coming to you a little bit late.
Yeah.
Because we did not record an extra beforehand, and then Donte got sick the week after.
I sure did.
SacAnime. So anyway, thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be talking about our experience at SacAnime and what we learned and what worked, what didn't work, what we do different, etc.
I got don't go to the gym sick. I didn't get like put me out of commission sick. Like I could still throw, but usually I would like wake up, throw, make breakfast, clean the house on my days off.
Yeah.
Go to the gym, and then like I got like maybe I'll just clean the house and throw some pots.
Yeah.
And then I'll chill for the rest of the day. Kind of a sick, you know, where I'm just half as productive as usual. But like my wife doesn't get out that much, my beautiful wife. So she's like actually sick from my sick.
Oh.
But the baby, of course, is built different. So she's just like, sick. I'm just a little stuffy. Whatever. Food, milk.
Milk?
Banana?
Apple? Orange?
Apple. My baby knows like 30 words, and they're a list of demands. But in one word. She talks like a caveman. So she's like, banana. Okay, here's a banana. Apple. Okay, here's an apple. Dinosaur. Her favorite thing right now is dinosaur. Aww. And then I give her a picture of a dinosaur, because I don't have a real dinosaur, guys. Would you really thought we were going there? You thought I was going to pull up a Jurassic Park on you?
I mean...
We made movies about that. How did none of... On a side note, I know it's not part of the cast, but how in the God's name did all these people with degrees and IQs over like 120 get in a boat and they were like, yeah, we can make money off these dinosaurs, and not one person was like, what, you brought back dinosaurs and we're going to the island without military intervention? Yeah. We're just going to go there? Yeah, we're going to check it out. We're not going for a job? No, we're not going for a job.
You see, it's about the hubris of humankind.
I know I'm a warmonger, but I would have immediately put artillery on those dinosaurs.
Oh my god. Well, no, that's the whole point. That's what they tried to do with the velociraptors. Anyway, we're getting real off topic here.
I would immediately put Gatlings on the top of the velociraptors and called them V-Gats. And they would have been all up in other countries securing that oil.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And you would have paid me fat for it.
You can't control nature. That's the point.
That's true. That's fair.
Yeah. So, SacAnime, overall thoughts. How did it go for you?
Overall good. A little bit, second time around, I didn't learn all my lessons.
Okay,
Because like last time I just last time I kind of sold all my work that I had available, because T-Cozy was like, maybe do a table with us. Remember, I was like, no.
Yeah, that was for SacAnime Winter.
Right, that was the last, not this previous one, but the previous.
Yeah.
And then I told myself, I'll make some more Avatar stuff. And then the one big thing is that Linda, the awesome person who was there at the table with me for the first couple days, was like, you gotta raise your prices.
Yes.
And I was like, no. And she was like on it. She was on me so hard about it that, you know, when I give up, usually I'm like, fine, we'll make a deal. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know what I mean? I did the dad thing. Like, look, if you're right, you're right. Let's test it out.
Yeah.
So I can end this conversation right now. Because I'm tired of arguing about it. Let's just try it so that if it doesn't work, I can go, oh, I don't know. Remember that one time it didn't work? But it did work.
How the turntables.
Yeah, so she was right. I remember I went to your table and I was like, Lindsey?
Yep,
you're right.
Shook hands.
I shook her hand. I was like, you're right, Lindsey, I'm sorry. All the things I've ever said.
It was actually really funny because she actually came over to the table before.
Yeah.
And she was like, Lindsey, Dante's got to raise his prices. And I'm like, I know. You just have to tell him.
Yep.
Just have to tell him.
I'll listen.
So how much did you have them priced? And how much did you raise them by?
All the Avatar teacups were like $35.
Okay.
Because
and you raised them to...
They're like 42.
Okay, cool.
Or 40. Actually, they're 40. I made everything rounded. So they're like 40. So my initial mentality was I sell them for like 42 on my website.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take $10 off because that's how much shipping usually is on my website, $10 to $12.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that'll be the price. And she was like, nah.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, no, it needs to be the same, if not a little more, as on your site. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I usually don't make cups, like mugs. Past like $58 on my site. And that's with shipping.
Right.
And she was like, nope, mugs need to be 50 here. And if they're nice, 55.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, damn. But she's kind of right in the fact that I didn't need to sell 100 hamburgers at $5 each. I needed to sell 50 steaks at $10 each. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, so
I
that way.
actually remember way back on our episode, I think it was our episode about pricing, you brought that up, and then it reminded me of a conversation I had with my mom about the whole concept of chasing elephants versus chasing pigs.
Yes.
There's some variety there, because it's like you could argue that like selling sculptures in a gallery is the true elephant, not raising your prices or whatever. But yeah, I'm really glad that you listened to Linda and that you raised your prices. So how many pieces did you bring, and what did you bring?
I brought like 100 pieces, and I'd say 50 of them were Avatar things.
Okay.
And like anime things. But
were they all mugs, teacups, teapots? What was the breakdown?
All the teapots sold out.
How many did you bring?
3.
Nice. And how'd you price them?
I priced them at like 90, and then I said if you buy a set, which is $110, then I give you a teacup with it. So if you bought a teapot, I basically threw in like a small teacup for $110, like as a set. But if you bought a teapot, just regular teapot, it was like 90. I was like, it's close to 100. It's 90.
Okay.
They weren't happy about that either, but I was like,
yeah, if your teacups are
that's true.
50.
Well, the teapots are a little difficult to make. I wouldn't say difficult, they're just way more labor intensive.
Right, yeah.
Like to find someone who does ceramic work who can make a good functional teapot with a filter on the inside and whatnot. Also, I should say this, and this is a bit of a side point. You should not be using your teapot on the stove, your ceramic teapot. It's purely, and this is the wrong word, but ritualistic. Like, you're going to pour the hot water into the teapot and steep the tea.
Yeah.
Or steep tea, pour in the teapot, and then serve it from that. You can technically put it on the stove, but you shouldn't because heat transfers through the entirety of ceramic. And that's the point of most teapots, is to have, like, the handle be plastic while the teapot itself is metal or something to that extent. Mm-hmm. So that way you can just grab onto the handle of the...
Yeah. Because there are also some teapots that are specifically made to... I think they're called, like, flameware or something like that.
Yes.
But they're specifically made to be able to go on the stovetop.
Right. But those are specific.
Yeah.
What y'all are thinking about when you're thinking about putting teapots on a stove is a kettle.
Yes.
Not a teapot. Those are 2 different things.
Yeah.
Right? But I just want to make... A couple people were like, I could put this on the stove, right? And I was like, ooh. Technically, yes, but I wouldn't, because there's...
Also, because wouldn't it break? Because wouldn't the heat... Because I've heard... Or at least that's something that I've heard with, like, specifically, unless you have a clay body that is formulated to be able to deal with that kind of really quick, like, heat...
Oh, that's fair
disparity,
point.
Is that you would... If you were to put, like, a regular... Like, a, cone 6... B-mix with grog teapot or whatever, mm-hmm. that clay is not going to be able to deal with that quick of a heat.
The thermal expansion will probably break it. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about that, but you're probably right about that.
Yeah.
It's, granted, like, the teapot's not going to melt or anything, but
it's going to break.
Lindsey's right, it would probably break based on the thermal shock. But, like, don't put your there's going to be someone who's like, I put mine on the stove all the time. Stop.
Maybe. I mean, like, if it works, like, if it doesn't break, but, like, know that it's the likelihood. If you don't want to worry about it breaking, unless you've bought a piece that has been advertised to be flameware or whatever it's called, just don't. Just
use a kettle.
But, yeah. So you brought...
3 of them.
3 teapots, and then, okay.
Like 50 Avatar cups.
Mm-hmm. Were they teacups or pieces or, like, mugs with handles?
Teacup. I bought teacups and pieces with handles. Mm-hmm. The things that really surprised me is that all of the, what I call organic teacups, like the ones that look like jagged rocks,
Yeah.
With no glaze on the outside, but on the inside, the food safe spaces, those sold out immediately.
Dude.
And everyone who picked them up was like, these are different. These aren't just like rounded bottom things. These look special to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I made like 20 of those as soon as I got home.
Those were really beautiful, dude.
I was happy with those.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw you had some Dungeon Master stuff as well, bringing in the D&D.
Yeah, people liked them, but people were like, I want a different glaze than Tenmoku Gold. And of course, my pottery crafter brain is like, you want different glaze? Other than the perfect historical Tenmoku gold with specks of gold dust in it?
Oh my gosh.
What? They're like, I want blue. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But I made them Tenmoku gold because it's a specialty glaze. It's a special cup. It's a Dungeon Master.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So those weren't as popular. It was really the Avatar stuff that sold the most.
Yeah, I took like 3 Dungeon Master bugs back with me.
Wow, that's surprising actually.
Yeah, well, I only brought 6. And
Okay.
I took 3 back, so half of them sold. I also made a new silk screen, says waifu material on it.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that.
And those were great. People like those a lot, but the main seller of them were people who were buying them for other people as gifts.
Yeah.
They weren't like, oh, I like Avatar, this is for me. It was people who were like, who would like that?
Yeah.
It was a good table. I made enough money to go back, but the next time I am there, you're going to be there too, I assume.
Yeah, at SacAnime, yeah.
SacAnime Winter the first winter. Because there's like 2 of them every time, I think.
There's SacAnime Summer, which is the one that we just did. There's SacAnime Winter. Technically, there's a SacAnime like Spring, but that's in like Roseville.
Right.
And that's in like April, I think. April or May.
Right, okay. So Lindsey and I will be at different tables in winter.
Mm-hmm.
I will be at my own table this time and not with Tea Cozy.
Yeah, hell yeah.
The way it works, by the way, and you know this, Lindsey,
Yeah.
but I don't think they know this, is that once you secure a spot, they just want to keep rotating you in that same spot.
Mm-hmm.
So that way they don't have to find a new secure person.
Yeah. At least when you're in, because for some context, in case like any of y'all listeners are thinking about doing something like selling at a convention, which I would highly recommend. It's at least, again, I think if you do anything even remotely geeky, it's a good space to sell in. But so there's a difference between Artist Alley and then the section that Donte and I are in. Yeah. So normally there's just kind of 2 sections. There's Artist Alley and then there's like the vendor's hall or the dealer's hall. Yeah. SacAnime has done something that's kind of like a in-between. It's like, we're called like an exhibiting artist.
Yeah, they just mixed us all in, really.
Yeah. So it's like Artist Alley is still in its own section, but the exhibiting artists are mixed in with the other like big vendors. Mm-hmm. But the biggest difference is that we get the same space as vendors do. So for Artist Alley, you normally get like maybe a 4 by 6 foot display area. So it's very small. It can be cramped. If you're selling stuff like Donte and I, it's really hard to, if you have a lot of inventory and you have like stuff that takes up a lot of space like cups, it's hard to fit everything back there, I'll say.
Yeah.
But it's a good starting out place because the tables are usually cheaper, like somewhere between like $250 to $350.
Yeah, it depends on the season too.
Yeah. But our tables, now that they also increased the price, are what, $850 now?
I paid 8 something for mine, and that's like without electricity and all the little things that I would usually name. Like, I bought a generator, an EcoFlow generator. Because every time I go, they charge me like, it's like $80 for electricity. Yeah. And I was like, screw it. I need a generator for my house anyway in case something happens. Mm-hmm. I want electricity for my family. It's portable. It's solar. So I was like, oh, so I could just bring this to tables. Yeah. Another thing, partial, is that the reception there is ass ketchum. Yeah. So unless you have the right cell phone provider to get through the walls or a strong enough signal, even like your Wi-Fi hotspots don't work in there.
I was actually really pleased that mine worked this time.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I can't remember the name of the thing that I got. I'll list it in the show notes because I was really nervous about whether it was going to work, but mine ended up costing, it was like $100 or something like that. And then I paid, it's a monthly plan thing. So essentially it's from Verison. Mm-hmm. And the way that it's set up is you buy the unit itself, and I went into the Verison store and I basically bought a plan through them, but I basically pay for however much I think I'm going to need in the month. Once that month is over, that any unused data does not roll over. But I don't have to pay a monthly plan every single month. Yeah. Regardless of whether I use it. Yeah.
I have the same thing except for so this is important, right? Because I remember I was having problems with my cell phone. I had 3 phones going at once for this convention. Oh my God. I had my regular phone, I had my burner phone, and then I had to buy a secondary burner phone. Because I got mixed up in between the difference in between Verison and Total by Verison.
Oh, right.
They're 2 different companies, but owned by the same parent company. So Total by Verison is kind of like what you had, except for mine was just a cell phone that had strong enough reception from Verison to go through the convention center so I can have data. didn't have Wi-Fi, but I had data. And then I also had a Verizon phone.
Yeah.
And that gave off a Wi-Fi hotspot. So I was switching SIM cards like every day.
Oh my god.
I text my boss and I was like, don't text me on the other phone. And he goes, who is this? And I'm like, it's Donte. Just pretend this phone is my real phone for the next 4 days.
Yeah.
You know? And so, I basically did the same thing. But you should definitely, I wouldn't say test out. It's hard to test out because I don't have access to the room. But I know that Verizon works in that room.
Yeah.
And I know that Total by Verizon is also owned by Verizon. So I know that, like, okay, my stuff will work here.
Yeah. And if you don't want to worry about buying a secondary phone and switching out SIM cards, like, I just got the Wi-Fi hotspot unit and just used that, and it worked fine. The battery did not last all day on Saturday, so fortunately, my friend Brandon, who was helping me out that weekend, he like had a what's it, power unit or
power bank.
Power bank, yeah. So that was definitely necessary because
100%.
Yeah, basically as soon as that thing died, like card transactions stopped going through, and I was like, what is going on? And then I was like, oh wait, maybe it's out of battery. Yeah, so
mine auto turned off every day. Well. Yeah, so my thing that I had, mine auto turned off every, like, 5 minutes. So it was annoying to boot it back up. Every time I had a transaction, I'd have to be like, give it a minute or two. I'll get your transaction in a second. But also, like, it lasts for, like, 3 days.
Yeah, that's nice.
Just being on all day.
Yeah, good battery life.
Yeah. I will also say as a price point, the thing that you did like $100. The total
no, for me it was a little bit more. So it was $100 to use to purchase the actual, like, item.
Okay. And
then I had to buy the like data plan. I think I bought like 25 gigs or something like that. I did not need that. Like, I'm sure 5 gigs would have been fine, but I didn't really know. Yeah. So I thought, well, I'm going to buy more just in case. So total, I think it ended up being almost $200. But the only thing I'm going to have to pay for next time is just the 5 gigabyte data plan. So that's going to be like less than $50.
Okay, I think I might do that because my burner phone works as a phone, of course, but it's like $60. Yeah. And you can just, it's not an auto pay thing. They'll ask you, do you want to auto pay? You say no. So you call like 5 days before you need to activate the phone. And then they just say like, how much do you want to buy? You tell them how much you want to buy. Mine's like $50, $60. And then it's just active for the month. But I only need it for like a couple days, right?
Yeah.
So I think I might do what you're doing.
Well, mine is it still lasts for the whole month. Yeah. But, so it's not, because I know there are some where it's like, you pay for what you use. This is kind of like, you pay for a lump sum, and then anything you don't use, you lose.
Well, that's what I would like that even more. Oh, yeah. Because my package was like 30 gigabytes of data, and I looked up how many, like, you know, how many YouTube videos that it is. Oh, yeah, Because that's my barometer is YouTube videos, and it was... They were like, you can watch 492.
Holy balls!
And I was like, yeah, I'll never need that. I'm not going to watch that many YouTube. I watched like 5 while I was editing because I was busy editing videos for the YouTube channel. Yeah, other than that, it was a fairly good experience. Yeah.
How much, can I ask how much you made?
It was like 2.5. I didn't make that much.
Okay. 2,500?
Yeah, it was 2 but also you have to remember, like, I was not optimized and I had to share the table. Yeah, your table's like 4 times the size of mine.
Yeah, oh my god. So I'm actually kind of bummed about changing. Yeah, because so basically they're rearranging the vendors hall and artist alley at SacAnime. So my space is moving, and I'm super bummed because basically how it's set up right now is I'm paying for a 10 by 10 foot space. Yes. But because my booth is there is a gigantic
pillar,
10 foot across pillar column splitting my booth. When I first got that space, I went over to the organizers and I was like, hey, so I'm paying for this bigger space, but I essentially have as much room as Artist Alley because of this gigantic column. What can we do about this? And they said, oh, you can just expand into the table next to you. Right. So technically I have 2 tables. I basically have 2 tables
for the
of
price
space.
Of one.
For the price of one. Yeah. I mean,
which is awesome.
I've got the gigantic column in the middle, but honestly, that's a good ass deal for me.
It's worth it.
I'm bummed that my table space is essentially going to be smaller next convention because they're rearranging me, so I'm going to be in a different spot. Yeah. But so I'll walk through, I guess, some of my like basics. So I brought about 200, 250 pieces.
Yes, yeah.
Like, most of what I made were the mugs, the $45 range, because that's what seemed to sell the most last time.
And which ones are those? The ones that, like, Coffee, Intellect Plus? And...
Well, not so much design-based, but just in terms of the, like, shape.
Okay.
Yeah, so the mugs are the ones that are, like, kind of vaguely triangle-shaped and then have a handle.
And those are $45 for you?
Yeah, $45. Although I think I'm gonna increase my prices next convention.
I'm trying to decrease my shit.
Nah, don't decrease. Don't decrease. If they sold, just never decrease. Unless things are really not selling. But they're selling, so don't decrease. Anyway, 60 to 70% of my inventory was the mugs. Mm-hmm. And then I also made teacups and then goblets and steins. Teacups were $35, mugs were $45, steins were $55, goblets were $65. I also made a few, like, those specialty cauldron pieces that I made.
I loved those so much.
I'm so stoked with how those turned out. Unfortunately, though, like, I think I need to re-kiln wash my shelves because the feet of the cauldron pieces, a bunch of them stuck to the kiln shelf, so I had to grind down the little cauldron feet to be much shorter than I originally intended.
I see.
And because of that, I decreased the price a lot. Like, so I only sold, like, the mushroom cauldron. Like, so again, you know, for our listeners who may not have been following this on Instagram, I made a set of cauldron mugs based on different kinds of spellcasters. So I had a necromancer cauldron mug, a blood mage cauldron mug, and then a spore druid cauldron cup.
Can I ask a normie question?
Yeah.
What's the difference in between a necromancer and a blood mage? Because those seem like the same person to me.
They could be considered, but, like, so in my mind, a necromancer is someone who specifically focuses on raising the dead or, like, working with remains of some sort.
Okay.
When I think of blood mages, I think more of blood and pain being the source of where it's kind of like where the source is coming from. So, like, necromancers, I think, could do things that blood mages do. Like, when you think about in D&D, there are spells like Chill Touch or... God, I'm trying to think of something.
My ex-wife knows that one.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
you and all of your ex-wives, of course.
I don't have any ex-wives.
You don't have any ex-wives, yeah.
Just
oh my
got
God.
the one who's nice to me sometimes.
Great. Anyway, but when I think of blood mages, I think of, like, Morrigan from the Dragon Age, like, series.
Okay.
So I think about it as, like, where the source of the magic's coming from is, like...
Okay, that's fair, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like the word necromancer.
That's fine.
Sounds racist.
What?
I don't like it.
Okay. All right.
It's too close.
That's okay.
I don't like the kind of mancer you are.
Okay.
I like blood mage better.
Well, I like blood mage too.
Blood mage sounds cooler.
Yeah. You could call it, let me think, like, hemomancer. Like, like hemoglobin, you know?
Yeah, that sounds... Well, that's just a sign... Well, no,
That's just a fancy way of saying blood mage.
I get... Yeah, that sounds cool, though.
Yeah, hemomancer.
A hemomancer.
Oh, man, I'm gonna use that next time.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, sorry.
So,
yeah.
no, you're good. You're good. I appreciate the enthusiasm.
I'm a gunmancer.
Yeah. Metallomancer?
Bulletmancer?
Ballistamancer.
Oh, you're good at this. I'm not as good as you are at this.
Oh my God.
A patriotmancer? No, that's too far, right?
That's too much.
That's too much.
Far.
Yeah, it's
too far. Anyway, so those pieces I sold for between $75 and $85, depending on how much I had to, like, grind down the feet, basically.
Oh, so they're labor intensive, huh? Are they?
Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, what's kind of difficult is that they take almost as much time as the Dragon Age cups, or Dragon Egg cups.
Really?
Take. Yeah. They're just time intensive in a different way, and they don't necessarily show it the same way. But I'll probably raise my prices, like, assuming those pieces turn out well, I'll probably raise them so that they're closer to, like, 95 or 100. So I made those, and then I also brought 6 dragon egg goblets, and I sold those for $195, and all of those sold.
That's good.
Yeah, I sold a sculpture too.
Did you?
I did. Yeah, oh my gosh.
How'd they walk out with that?
They came at the end of the convention, and I had it boxed up with a bunch of, like wrapping and stuff around. I didn't normally, like... I mean, honestly, I didn't have anything prepared for that because I was like, no one's gonna buy a sculpture, and then this person just came up, and they were asking a few questions about some of the pieces, and basically they were saying that they were moving in with a couple of friends of theirs getting their like first place together, and they were all huge like reading nerds, and they wanted to create like a little book area, and so they bought the More Guide.
He's that guy who's gonna walk into the house and he's gonna be like, guys, look what I bought for our reading area, and they're like, oh, that's cool. Frank didn't ask any of us.
No, they were all there, and they were all seemed to be very excited. So I'm very happy. Sold that piece for $850. Total, I made, like, in terms of gross profits, like not including like the table fee and how much I paid my friends. And I'll get into that.
Because the table fee and how much you pay your people and the internet and the phone that I did, like, I made like a G maybe. Yeah.
So the table was it $650 for that table? I think because they increased the prices. So the table that I paid for this time was $650. I ended up hiring eventually 3 friends to help me. Mm-hmm. 2 of them helped me basically all weekend, and I basically paid my friends $100 a day for being there like all day. So my friend Peter helped me out like half the day on Friday and all day Saturday, so I paid him $150. Friends Brandon and Ash helped me all day Friday, basically all day Saturday, and then on Sunday Ash was kind of like tapped out socially, which I totally get.
Yeah.
So, but I still paid for the $100 because they drive a long way. Yeah. So that ended up being $750 in terms of fees of like paying my friends to help with that.
Paying the people, yeah.
Yeah, paying the people. And the main reason I decided to do that this time was because like this, they helped me out for free last time, which I super appreciated.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like if I am paying someone to do it, not only is that like showing that I value like their time and the expenses to like get there, like of course, I'm paying for their like ticket to get in and walk around and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of like, all right, if I'm paying you, then I can kind of like ask what time you're going to be there. These are the hours that, planning on working. And I can just kind of make things a little bit more official so that I can plan my time a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, to sound like a boomer, you're paying for a service and you expect that service to be delivered to a certain extent. And so now that you're paying for a service or a product, it's like
there's a different level of expectation.
Yeah, there's definitely a different. It's like I'm paying you for it. So could you do it? Would you mind?
Yeah, not that it's like
not that rude, I guess.
Yeah, because it's not like it's not like I was paying them. I think even minimum wage, like $100 a day for how many hours they worked is like not minimum wage, but it felt
almost half, I guess.
Yeah, but it felt good. So I did that. So there's a table fee, paying assistant fees basically. Paying for the Wi-Fi hotspot was, again, almost $200, but that'll be less expensive in the future.
I might do what you did just because I don't want to have so many burner phones.
Yeah, that's kind of a hassle.
It's a hassle, and like I'm basically using backup phones as real phones. So like this is my real phone, right? And the phone I was using is like, when this phone dies, I'll be using that phone. Then I'll have to buy another backup phone.
Yeah.
So I'm using my backup phones, but I have like 3 in rotation at all times.
Yeah, that seems like more complicated than it needs to be.
Plus, if I just had a Wi-Fi hotspot, I wouldn't have to buy so many backup phones. I would just have a phone that's connected to the thing and then do the thing. Like,
yeah. And then other people's, if you ever wanted to hire extra help and you wanted like to put your payment method app like on other people's phones, then they could connect to the Wi-Fi hotspot, and then
instead of them coming in being like, I have AT&T, my phone's not working. That's how they sound.
Yeah,
my phone's not working.
Well, I more so mean for the people who are helping you.
Yeah, of course, yes.
Yeah.
Because one of my friends that is helping me might have like a service that doesn't go through the walls.
Right. Yeah, I mean that was me last time.
Dude, it was bad. It was like I got lucky because one of my government friends bailed me out. He was like, I have a Wi-Fi hotspot the government gives me, and you could use this.
Yeah.
But, like we can't do this every time. This is like a favor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think not taking into account all those expenses, I made $12,980. So almost $13,000.
Probably around 10 if you take into all the expenses, right?
Yeah, probably about that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and honestly, it felt really good because I had some debt that I needed to pay off. So I
got a little bit too, but it's not like.
Honestly, most of my debt was just like all the expenses that I accrued like leading up to SacAnime.
Yeah.
Because I ended up. And again, I'm not sure how, hopefully our listeners find this interesting, like how we kind of move money around and such, but like, I basically had not pulled any money from my Patreon since it started. So I had that lump sum to help me get through the time where I wasn't doing updates over the spring and summer as I was trying to get ready for SacAnime.
Thank you, patrons, for that.
Thank you, patrons. Yeah, seriously.
You literally make it happen.
Yeah. So between that and then I was lucky enough to have some help from my mom. So between those two things, I was able to get done what I needed to and not have to do smaller updates throughout the spring and summer.
Yeah.
But anyway, it meant I had some debt to pay off. And then I also have a kitty that passed last year that I got medical bills to pay for. But anyway, yeah, I'm really stoked. Like, it was like looking at the final numbers and seeing everything. I was like, oh, thank God. Like, all right. Yeah. Oh, thank God.
I have a little bit of debt too, but the way I work is, like, I'm not going to borrow. If I don't have the money to pay for it, I'm not going to get it, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, even if my car broke down, if I don't have the money for another car, unless I absolutely needed a car, which is a lot of people's predicaments, my brain's like, oh, work's 5 miles away. I'm just going to bike 5 miles every day.
Yeah.
You know? Which, I get people are in predicaments where they're like, I can't do that kind of physical labor every day. I get that. For sure. But if I cannot go through those hoops, then I'm not going to go through the hoops.
Yeah.
So, like, I owe, like, $500 maximum.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
No, not at all. Like, I tried to spend my credit card on, like, a nice dinner the other day, and my credit card company called me because they were like, yo, you spent, like, $80 at BJ's? This is highly abnormal for you.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, yeah, I never use my cards, so... Do you want another credit? They're always like, do you want more money in your credit card? And I'm like, nope.
No, dude, say yes.
I never
No, honestly, say that you want an increase because one of the ways that your credit score is created... By the way, this is not legal advice. This is just stuff I've heard.
Yeah.
I always got to disclaimer that. But one of the things that determines your credit score is essentially how much of your maximum credit you're using.
Oh, I see.
So if your credit limit is huge and you're only using a smaller amount, that's actually better for your credit score. Okay. So anytime they offer an increase, take it.
Yeah, okay. So credit companies are like, these guys giving them a lot of money.
Yeah.
He must have a lot of money.
Yeah, I guess so.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. My credit card company called me because I was like, I'm going to buy all of the shipping supplies that I need for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So I bought like $500 of shipping and packing supplies. So I'll have all of I think I still need to buy bags because I had to double check on the size that I bought. But I bought a bunch more Ran Pack and a bunch of the like craft paper filler that I use when I like actually ship stuff out.
I got to buy bags for next time.
Oh, yeah.
I bought no bags because in the thing it was like, don't bring bags, especially that of plastic. And I was like, so is that no bags or is that no plastic bags?
No, definitely bring bags. Bring bags.
Okay, because I saw people with bags.
Yeah.
And I was like, but they told me not to bring bags. Ooh, woo.
Yeah.
And so next year I'm just going to like, I don't know. It's the same ones where like, I don't know if you've been to Fanime.
Yeah.
Right? But like sometimes they're like, don't use a dolly. And then everyone's using a dolly.
Right. It's like, sorry, bro. Like, how else am I supposed to bring my stuff? I think they just don't want like plastic bags. Like, again, they're trying to be as environmental as possible. So when you get bags, and by the way, anyone who's still using Uline and you consider yourself on the like liberal spectrum, do not buy Uline because the people who own Uline have funded a bunch of conservative legislators and candidates. Anyway, so if you do not want to give that company your money, the company that I use is called EcoEnclose. So they're a lot more environmentally friendly, at least from what I've been able to observe, and they don't donate to conservative candidates.
Also, on the other side, if you're conservative, buy Uline.
Yeah, I guess so. Donte. So was there anything unexpected this time from SacAnime?
Yeah, the one unexpected thing is that and this was a big surprise to me because like I'm always pro this, but it never usually happens, is that my super artistic stuff, or like the stuff that I considered to be out of the norm, was sold out immediately. I started making these organic kind of geometric, and if you've bought stuff from my website before, you've been to my website to see what I'm working on, you've seen them before. But like everyone picked them up, like these feel good and they look good and they remind me of like a rock. And these are different from, like, everything else I've seen. And, of course, I brought, like, 5 or 6. Because I was like, they're not going to sell. But everyone was just like, yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
I like these, you know? And so I made... As soon as I got home, I made, like, 20 or 30.
Nice.
Like, the day of, I went home, made 20. And they're also easier to make than mugs. Because mugs, you have to attach the handle.
Yes.
But, like without that, a mug is just a giant teacup, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I just made a bunch of jarred teacups, and that was it, right? And then, of course, I got to make my avatar stuff, which isn't hard. I could probably make all 50 or 60 of them in, like, a day or two with trim time. Mm-hmm. But, like, it does sadden me. It's not really it's my aesthetic, and my aesthetic's not everyone's aesthetic. But I do understand that people are probably going to buy the most, I wouldn't say basic, but the most normal-looking thing with their nostalgia on it first before they buy anything else. Like, you're going to buy a teacup with an avatar symbol on it first. Before you buy a teacup that I consider higher quality. And I understand that's not, like, my aesthetic. And I'm the artist, so, of course, I might know what quality is for my own craft versus someone who just likes a teacup. But, like, I do now understand that, like, the making process does not have to be as strenuous as I am making it because I want stuff to be, like, super awesome, cool, artistic, special glazes. I'm like, yep, they want an earthbender cup with the earthbender symbol on it, and they want it to be green because green is earth, and then they want to buy it.
Yeah.
And that's what they want, right? But I'm glad the teacups sold out. Mm-hmm. I'm really glad the teacups sold out. I'm really glad the teapots sold out. Because I was like, no one wants teapots. Who's bringing home a teapot?
I'm actually kind of surprised about that too. Because it kind of seems like one of those things where... And admittedly, I've totally done this myself, where it's like, oh, that's a really cool, like, idea. I like the idea of doing, what is it? Like, I think one of the ideas that I had was making a teapot based on the Alien Queen from, like, the Alien series, like, H.R. Giger Alien series. And then having all the little teacups be, like, facehugger eggs, right?
Right, okay.
And I was like, oh, that's a great idea, but also, who's gonna want to actually pay for that, right? Because admittedly, something like that would be like, I mean, that's a sculpture. I get that. That's like an $850 purchase. But I think your pieces seem to have found a nice mix between being still that kind of really special thing, like it's a teapot. They're less common.
Yeah.
But they also seem to be at a price point where folks were still able to buy them. Although I personally think that you could increase the price on those teapots. Like the fact that you're getting, like, because if you think about it, if people got a teapot and a teacup for $110, they're basically paying the same price for a teapot as they are for a teacup.
Yeah, or like if they bought 3 teacups, it's almost the same price as a teapot. Because a cup was like $40. It's like $10 less.
Yeah.
But like a teacup is like $40. So buying 3 of those is close to $110.
I thought you said your teacups were $50.
Mugs were $50. Teacups were $40.
Oh, okay.
Unless they were specialty teacups. The Avatar, the Nation teacups, the dragon fruit clay sold out immediately. I have to make like 20 or 30. And they're easier to make than you might think. So I have to make like 20 or 30 of those for the next table.
Nice.
Because people came back the third day and were like, where are all the Nation teacups? And it's the most, I know I love saying I told you so. But like, it's the most satisfying thing in the world to me when someone's like, I was looking at them the first day and I was going to buy one. Where are they? And I'm like, they sold out.
Yeah.
The first day. Like, because you didn't buy them when you saw them.
Yeah.
Like, and I guess that's the punishment, to use video game terms.
Yeah.
That's the punishment mechanic for not jumping on the resource that you want when you could get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I actually had a really interesting conversation with my friend Brandon about that because... So essentially everybody who helped me at the table but me would do things like if someone was on like the first or second day saying like, oh, okay, I'm still thinking about this. Like, I'll come back. They would say, just so you know, like, these pieces tend to sell out quickly, so it may not be here when you get back.
Yeah.
And they told me that oftentimes when they did that, people would go, oh, okay, then I'll buy it. And it was interesting because it's like, my inclination is to be like, all right, you'll see that it's probably going to be sold out. And then next time.
That's what I did.
Yeah. And that is kind of my natural inclination too, partially because I admit on the selfish side, it's very satisfying. And
very satisfying.
I know that's not exactly a healthy...
Lean into it.
It's not... I know that it's kind of... It doesn't
have to be healthy because you're right.
It's just a little evil.
Oh,
but...
It's not evil if you're correct.
Oh my god. But also it's like, I guess that's something that I need to work on dealing with is like, because to me, saying like, oh, hey, just so you know, it's probably going to be sold out. That feels very like salesy to me.
Yeah, agreed.
But at the same time, it's like, I know that, if I was exposed to a new seller and I didn't know how fast their work actually sold out.
And they told me that.
I would appreciate knowing. Because I'd be like, oh, okay, like, that's good to know. And then I could then make that decision of like, okay, am I going to spend the money now or am I going to wait and take my chances? But I like having that option.
Yeah.
And so I'm that's something that I might try doing a little differently next time, is like communicate more with folks how much things, you know, do tend to sell.
I like the first way you said.
Okay.
Because then I get the satisfaction of going, yeah.
Too late, motherfucker!
Too late. Yeah. Maybe next time wait.
Yeah. It does make me very happy that, like, so many folks do come back and say, like, yeah, I made sure to come back the first day because you were sold out last time.
Yeah.
And in some ways it's like, yeah, it is satisfying and fun. And it is also nice, like, how many people came back, like, just to say hi. And it's like, amazing. It's like this community is so, it's just so fun, you know? And I'm curious, like, how that's been for you, because you know, again, for so long didn't do in-person events, and I know you've been doing them a little bit more now this last year, so I'm kind of curious, like,
been hiding.
Yeah, how has it been? Like, do you feel like you've kind of gotten into a bit more of a rhythm with doing in-person events and, like, finding a balance between talking with people and... No? Okay, tell me.
No, so, like, the best thing that I had was somebody from my Discord came by and was like, hey, you know, and, like, I feel like they all know what I look like, but I don't know what any of them look like, except for, like, one or two of them.
Right.
And so sometimes they give me this energy that I pick up that I'm like, you are moving like you know me, but I don't know you. And then they're like, I'm from your Discord. This is my username. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me that off the rip instead of, you know, I had recently met someone that was talking to me like they knew me. This wasn't at a table. I told you about this. I'm not going to say their name.
Yeah.
But, like, they talked to me like they know me, and then afterwards, for a while, I was like, I don't think we have ever met. But, I do enjoy the friendly energy, but at the same time, like, I don't want to be like, yeah, bro, in place of your name. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, I'm so awkward.
You'll just go with it.
I will go with it because usually eventually my brain will kick in and I'll remember who they are and, like, where I met them. Admittedly, sometimes I don't, and then I feel really bad because I'm like, clearly we have met before, but I am forgetting. And so I roll with it as much as I can, and I hope that my memory jogs. Dude,
you know, like, the stereotypical male, like, best friendships, like, especially for gamers, where they're just like, that's Steve. And somebody else is like, what's his last name? You're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, actually.
You know, like, stuff like that. And you're like, you've known Steve for, like, 7 years.
Oh, my God.
And you're like, yeah. But, like, that happened with my friend Howie, right? Like, Howie one day told me he was Chinese. But I've known him for, like, 10 years by this point.
Yeah.
And I turned to him and I was like, you're Chinese? And he's like, yeah, clearly. And I was like, what do you mean clearly? He goes, I'm Asian. I was like, but there's a bunch of different branches. That's like saying you're American. Like, which branch of American are you? There's so many different types. And he's like, yeah, I'm Chinese. And so after that, I was like, oh, you're Chinese. I didn't know that. Like, and it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
No, SacAnime was great. I liked SacAnime. We're gonna do it again.
Yeah. So what are you gonna do for help?
More.
No, I was gonna say
for help.
Yeah. Well, because
what is
what is help?
What is help?
Since T-Cozy, it's therapy. Yes, therapy is help.
Jim?
Yeah, since you're gonna be at the table yourself next time, are you gonna bring anybody to, like, help you wrap stuff or help you talk to people, or what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna buy more bags, get a little bit more infrastructure. I was talking to you about more tables earlier, and I might get one helper.
Okay.
But really, it's just like a homie to hang out with.
Yeah.
We'll see who's interested. I think my friend Howie has a government job, so he's probably not gonna come hang out with me. But I'll find somebody.
Yeah.
I'll find someone like, hey, you want to do the table? I really don't want to reach into, like, the stratosphere of random people.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't want to do that. So
I'm very selective about.
Yeah.
Who,
yeah, because it. Yeah.
I
just don't want to do
there's a lot of variables. I want to make sure that I get folks who are good with talking to people, who are willing to, like, listen to some of the overarching, not rules, guidelines. Listen to me, I'm a business owner already. They're not rules, they're guidelines.
We're not workers, we're a family. Cringy ass.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's what you say when you're making more money than me.
Yep. Yeah, so I was especially glad for the help all weekend because, like, I'm really good Friday, I'm real good Saturday. By Sunday, I am done, and I don't want to be there anymore.
Dude, by Sunday, I'm editing video and ignoring my customers.
Yeah. I literally crawled under the table and
saw
laid
that.
down. Yes, well, because it was like what, Sunday at like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3.
I brought you
the
pizza
end
and you were
was
like,
9. Yes.
please.
Yes. I turned to Brandon. I was like, Brandon, can you like hold the table solo for like 10 minutes? I just gotta lay under the table and dissociate. So I literally crawled to the table, laid on my back. I relaxed all my facial muscles because they were being used a lot. And I just like closed my eyes and it was so needed.
People come up to the table and they like reach for something and then they pull back a little bit. Like, I shouldn't touch this. That's nice.
Yeah.
And then my move is to look up for my editing computer, my editing software, and go, you can touch them if you want. Feel free to touch. It's okay. If you have any questions, just ask me. And then I go right back to editing. Like, the person who's at my table needs to be more personable than I am.
Yeah.
Or else, like, nothing's getting sold.
Yeah. I
mean, it also helps if they're hot, but, like, hot on, like, a not, like, just cute, not hot, you know?
Yeah, like
adorable. Like, it helps if you're more,
just like friendly and amicable in general. Like if that's your vibe, that's a good vibe.
If people can walk up to you and think you're not gonna punch them, like, oh hey, how you doing? Oh hi, like, you know, that's good. But for me, I'm in like a big Carhartt jacket editing videos with a frown because I'm tired.
Yeah.
And people are like, did you make this? I'm like, oh yeah, I did. And then I go right back to editing.
Yeah.
You know,
that ain't great.
Doesn't work
for
out.
So, but you know, but that's good. That's why you have.
Linda's so good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's more that we could talk about, but you gotta go home and take care of your wife.
Yeah, the wife is
Because
sick.
she's sick and must take care of baby.
Needs me to go rub her butt.
Yeah. Rub that. What?
What?
Alright, okay. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of The Mud Peddlers. We would love to hear from you, so if you want to share your thoughts about the episodes or just see what Donte and I are working on in our studios, come say hi. You can find links to my social media at lindseymdillon.com. That's LINDSEY, M as in monster, DILLON.com.
And you can visit my pottery shop or see what I'm working on at earthnationceramics.com. And you can find me all over social media at Earth Nation Ceramics. It's spelled exactly how you think it's spelled.
And if you want to support the show, hear some bonus episodes, and see some behind the scenes of my work, you can support me and the show at patreon.com/Lindsey M Dillon. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.